The Echo of Light in the Shadows of Divided Realms. Chapter 2. Threads of Unspoken Betrayal. The morning light intensified, sculpting its form across the worn-out walls of the graveyard quarter, carrying with it the scent of soil and the cold smoke rising from the stoves of the poor. Kaelan Arkwright breathed slowly as he climbed a small hill behind his shack, trying to sharpen his senses for any sound or movement that might lead him to a trace of his sister, Naira. A quiet fear and a painful question echoed inside him. Why had there been no sign of her since yesterday? He no longer felt safe, not after the terror he had experienced the previous night and the growing worry for his friend Felix Vanes. He thought of Lana Roseville, who had not yet appeared. She usually came before dawn to bring news from the third tier. He recalled how her eyes often darted toward the closed doors and how her whispers suddenly vanished when Felix had spoken his name. It had seemed suspicious at the time, yet his heart still beat with hope for the meeting. An hour passed like an eternity compressed into a single breath. Kaelan could no longer bear the silence of the void. No electricity, no signs to live by. He hesitated, then made his way toward the Ascension Market, a wide trench that separated the workers' quarter from the remnants of the third tier's marketplace in the eastern corner. There, among the aisles of abandoned stalls, he caught the hand of Vera, a modest silk cloth vendor, and asked her urgently about Lana. She nodded cautiously. "She left me early this morning, Kaelan, with a note saying she'd meet you somewhere else today." But the break in her voice gave Kaelan no clear answer, only cast him into a new maze of tension. Kaelan stepped into an abandoned stone courtyard, roofed with climbing plants clinging to cracked stone beams. There he found Lana, standing before a stone pillar etched with a small symbol of forbidden magic, holding a blotched note written with a weak feather. Her face bore signs of unease and hesitation, but she knew she had to share some painful truths. Lana took a deep breath before speaking. "Kaelan, I visited Felix last night. He was in an abandoned house beneath the old watchtower." His heart stopped for a moment, and he remembered his friend's face, strangled by a blue scream he'd glimpsed by chance, then gone. He let out a choking sigh. "Why didn't you tell me that?" Lana gave a bitter smile, her eyes marked with shock. "Because he said he didn't want you risking yourself to reach him. He said he found what he was looking for among the lords, and that he had to work with them to free his family from captivity in the Shadow Zone. I didn't want to rip the hope from you, only for you to hear failure from my lips." That was the moderate shock that shattered Kaelan's trust in her. A strange doubt loomed in his chest. How could a friend with whom he had shared the alleys of deprivation sell out so easily? He wondered, was Felix told a secret or offered a deal at too high a price? Before he could respond, the sound of hurried footsteps approached them from the south. They turned together and saw someone walking quickly. The face was hidden beneath a gray scarf, but the figure was slender and bruised. As the person stopped before them, they slowly lifted the scarf to reveal a face. A blonde girl, her wide eyes filled with both terror and shock. Her voice faltered before she spoke. "Kaelan, I saw him. Felix was here just moments ago, carrying a small bundle and 20 pieces of pure silver. Men in black cloaks caught him, and then the sound vanished." Kaelan was struck by the weight of betrayal and illusion among his friends. He turned to Lana, barely containing his anger. "So he did sell himself to Lord Nether Sangwara?" Lana shook her head slowly, sorrow twisting her features. "It's not like that. They didn't give him a choice. Felix was fined a massive amount because they caught him helping slaves in the excavation pits. When he refused to work magic to pay it off, they arrested him. They told him they'd kill his mother if he didn't cooperate. So he agreed to surrender his freedom. temporarily. Kaelan trembled at the weight of what he'd heard. The question burned in his mind. Can friendship demand such a price? He remembered Felix's dry smile in the excavation vaults just days ago when he had vowed to protect his family. Now Kaelan no longer knew how to read the threads of trust and betrayal in this world. Everything seemed tangled in deeper malice. Lana noticed the tension harden Kaelan's features, so she added in a soft voice, "There's another thread. While passing near the eastern threshold of the palace, I saw markings glowing faintly on a stone wall, a phrase written in blood. The curse begins when noble blood is enslaved." And beneath it, a twisted circle bore the symbol of forbidden magic, and the name Night of Light. Kaelan flinched when he heard Night of Light. A memory surged, an old mural in an abandoned temple, depicting a knight wielding a curved sword, surrounded by violet enchantments. But how could that name appear etched on a palace wall? And what was its connection to the conspiracy the lords were orchestrating? The tension in the air briefly faded, only to morph suddenly into a looming danger. A metallic gleam flashed behind Lana. A short sword scattered blue ice before vanishing. Lana raised her hand in defense, but the message was clear. It was a warning from someone who saw friendship as nothing but a weakness to be crushed. Darkness clouded Kaelan's vision as he remembered Felix shouting his name in that final moment. They were conspiring to bring him down. A tight dread gripped his heart. He had to decide, quickly. Should he chase after the mistakes of his friends, or weave himself into the threads of a greater conspiracy and open the gate to truth? Silence hung for a few seconds. Then Kaelan spoke, gripping Lana's shoulder with a gaze of dual colors. "Whatever happens, I won't back down. I'll find out who's behind this Night of Light and how they're grasping at the fringes of forbidden magic. If Felix is a victim, then I'll be the shield that protects his family." At that moment, Lana's eyes glowed with a pale hue tinged with dread, and she whispered with helpless fear, "Kaelan, they know everything about us. They pierced our hearts before our feet even reached their gates." Kaelan let the silence linger for a moment, followed by a question that would not fade. Who are these people pulling the strings of fate, and how can this magic loathe us before we even understand it?